now call the Paulding County Industrial Building Authority to order for its regular November meeting. Recognition of county guests and staff. I see Commissioner Pownell is in the room. Welcome him. First item of business will be the approval of the minutes from the September 24th, 2014 meeting. You received a copy of those. Did anybody note any errors or omissions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for
I have
September
a
24th.
motion by Mayor Debbie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Underwood. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And let it note that it passed unanimously with my abstention since I was absent. And the approval of financial statement, you received a copy of those. If you have no issue with it or do not want it read, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion by Chairman Austin. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Underwood. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Reports and updates. Mr. Shipp is not with us today. He had an employee that passed away this morning and was called to that, and so we certainly understand it.
Boyd, I attended that meeting
Okay.
as well, and it's continuing to market the region and looking at that for the coming year on some possibly conferences that we can all go for, as a group, as the Northwest region.
All right, thank you, Carolyn. And now report from the chamber. Carolyn Wright.
Very quickly, the Chamber Board had a retreat last week, looking at our programs, looking at how we can better serve the business community and the young professionals that are here in Paulding. So we'll be revamping some of our programs and looking forward to a new year with new programs.
Okay. Any questions, Carolyn? Report from the executive director, Mr. Swafford.
Yeah, we'll start with the film studio. The folks from National Lampoon Vacation are wrapping up the filming of that movie. They finish shooting this week, and then they'll take the next couple of weeks to tear down sets, move everything out, get cleaned up, and off stage. So they should be off stage, I would say, by the first week of December. Everything has gone extremely well. The production company's been very, very happy with the studio, very happy with the facilities and the services there. No issues of any kind that I'm aware of, other than they were a little bit concerned about the weather. A lot of those folks being from Los Angeles aren't exactly used to this kind of weather. So I think that Kohl's and some other local clothing stores probably had a run on coats last week and this week. Folks from the West Coast that didn't know that they needed a coat here. You do have your hold report, which I just handed out to you. I wanted to point out we have two holds, actually three holds. One of them is kind of hard to see because I printed this in black and white instead of color. We do have 3 holds beginning the 1st of December. We have another 4 holds beginning in January and 1 in February. So we have a total of 8 holds at this point in time. That is a lot of holds. Obviously we can't have 8 shows in the studio at one time, but hopefully a couple of these will materialize. I do want to say that I don't know if any of you saw the premiere of the Fake Off TV show on True TV a couple of weeks ago, but the show that was filmed over the summer in the studio, Fake Off, did premiere, and I believe they've shown the first 2 shows, and my understanding is the ratings are very, very, very good, and that the studio has already approved the 2nd season. So if you'll recall, our contract with folks from Fake Off did have a return option in their contract, and they have called us, and as you can see, they're one of the potentials for January. They're looking at calling their return contract provision and coming back in January to shoot the 2nd season. In addition to that, they're talking about adding 4 more shows into the current season, into season 1. So if they do that, when they come back in January, they'll start by shooting 4 more episodes of season 1, and then roll straight into shooting season number 2. So instead of shooting 8 shows, they'll shoot a total of 16 shows. So that is very good news for us because that would keep the studio booked from January all the way through the end of June. As you saw in the financial report, the studio is in the black at this point in time for FY15. So that's very, very good news. Like seeing the studio operating in the black. Occupancy has been very high for FY15, so record high for the time since we've had the studio open. Moving on to Dallas Industrial Park, we've been working over the last 4 weeks with Parker FiberNet to get the fiber installed in the industrial park. And as you'll recall, Parker FiberNet, they're the folks that installed the Northwest Georgia Fiber Network, which is one of the largest and robust fiber networks, not only in the state, but in the southeastern United States, with a lot of dark fiber and a lot of redundancy built into that system. Not only does it tie in at 455 Marietta Street, it also ties in Chattanooga and Birmingham as well. So they have 3 completely separate backbones out of that fiber network. So the uptime on that network is near 100%. So having that fiber available in the industrial park obviously is a big, big advantage to us. It's something that we can market to technology companies, IT companies, if we were to have some folks like that interested in the park. So very happy about that. Also, we're finalizing the punch list on the sewer lift station in the park and hope to turn that over here pretty soon. Moving on to the corporate hangar. Atlanta Gas Light is out installing the gas main to the hangar. The folks from Prime Contracting had been held up for about 6 weeks waiting on the gas line installation. They started the gas line installation 2 weeks ago. They did not work last week because they were called off for an emergency repair in another location, but they are back working this week. They anticipate finishing up the gas line installation next week. So the folks from Prime are getting ready to crank back up on the work on the hangar and get that project finalized and get it finished out. The last 3 items on here, the Dallas Memory Care, Peachtree Protective Covers, and Dallas Millworks are all projects that were discussed 2 months ago by the Economic Development Organization. I think all of you are aware, but just for benefit of the audience and others, Mr. Jamie Gilbert, Executive Director of the EDO, has resigned. He is no longer with the EDO. And as you're aware from the meeting a few minutes ago, we have hired Yolanda to come over to the airport. So since Jamie's no longer there and Yolanda's coming over to us, we are going to, at least temporarily, inherit some of the workload from the EDO. These projects, Dallas Memory Care, Peachtree Protective Covers, and Dallas Millworks are all projects that were in the pipeline. Obviously, we were already involved with these projects anyway as the partner with the EDO. So we'll take over as lead on these projects until they're finished out. Spoke with Mark Haney yesterday, the chairman of the EDO, and he just wanted me to relay to this board that he appreciates the cooperation and support that they have from us and vice versa, and that they are evaluating right now whether or not they want to wait until after the holidays to go out and look for a new executive director. Trying to do advertise and interviews and stuff with folks in between Thanksgiving and Christmas is probably a waste of time, and they probably wouldn't get the response that they would need or like to have. So most likely they will wait until after the first of the year before they look for a replacement for Jamie over there. But Dallas Memory Care is moving along very, very well. They have received all of their approvals through the bond process. They do expect to issue the bonds in January, so they'll be coming back to us in the January timeframe for the final approvals, the final document approvals for the bond issuance. But we have bi-weekly conference calls with them and with their team, and everything's running very, very smoothly with that project. So expect it to stay on schedule and be in construction in the first quarter of 2015. So it's going to be a good project for Paulding County. Peachtree Protective Covers, met with them just a couple of weeks ago. They're in the process of hiring their engineer to design the sewer outfall to their building. They need to get the sewer outfall designed before they start the design of the expansion of the building. So that's where they're at. The ball's kind of in their court right now. They're interviewing engineers. We did make recommendations to them of engineers that we know have done sewer-related projects in the county in the past and have done a good job with them. So we did make recommendations to them for those consultants. And they are, as I said, in the process of selecting a consultant to do that work. Dallas Millwork expansion, we're simply waiting for a call back from Northwest Georgia Regional Commission on the availability of the grant for that project. Julie Meadows is the contact person up there, and I've got a call into her to get an update. I didn't hear back from her this morning, but expect to hear back from her in the next couple of days as to the status of that grant. But all the projects are moving forward as they should be, and don't really see any issues or concerns at this point in time with any of those projects. Those were really the projects that were in the pipeline with the EDO. Of course, we have other projects that we've been pursuing and chasing with the airport and the MBAA, as we discussed in the Airport Authority meeting. But all of those projects will be the lead on those, regardless of what they do with the EDO position. So that doesn't really affect anything on that side. If there's any questions on these projects or any of the other things that discussed, we'd be glad to answer them.
Anybody got any questions, Blake? The presentation by Steve Kuhn has been canceled for today and should be at the next meeting. We have a need to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation.
No, sir, we don't need that today.
All right, good. Anything else? We'll remind everybody that the Christmas parade in Dallas is Saturday, December the 6th, always a big fun day for folks. And the Christmas tree lighting in Hiram is the evening before. And also note that, as you've seen on the news in the last few days, but today the funeral procession of Governor Carl Sanders moved through Atlanta and circled the state capitol. Governor Sanders is the first of the modern governors of Georgia, one of the most forward-thinking governors we've had, and made education a priority, revamped state government in many ways, and later became a leading statesman and businessman in Atlanta. But everybody in Georgia owes a debt of gratitude to Carl Sanders for his leadership. Is there any other business to be brought forward? IDA.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Chairman Austin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mayor Debbie. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Everybody have a
Happy
nice
Thanksgiving.